So this is something I like almost never talk about, but somehow like I do always talk about. So like, and I didn't, this, first of all, I barely give a fuck about football, right? Until it's the Super Bowl. Like, I barely give a fuck. I stopped giving a fuck about football in college because in Air Force Academy, they made us go to football games. It kind of made me hate football. Anyway, but I've been hearing, right, on the news about it being such a fucking big deal that this is the first Super Bowl in which there are 2 starting quarterbacks, 1 on each team. And I've been hearing it all week, but it never like registered. I'm like what that means. And then like today when I was hearing it, maybe because it's like 2 days from the Super Bowl and I'm like kind of in a Super Bowl state of mind, getting ingredients for dip and shit, for snacks. I'm like, that's kind of fucking insane. And that sounds really crazy because like the NFL is, we all know, fucking mostly black men. Right? So it's kind of fucking insane and weird, and the math isn't mathing, that if most of the NFL are black men, how in the motherfuck could it possibly be the first time that there are 2 teams with starting black quarterbacks? That doesn't make any sense. Why has it taken this fucking long? And just before, and I did some quick research into it. Look. It's fucking awful. And even before I did my fucking quick research, you know, just based on my knowledge of things and the world and just aesthetics, because we've also talked about, like, how like the NFL is weirdly reminiscent of like, you know, the ownership of black bodies for physical labor and sport, and the fact that most NFL team owners are old white men. Like, the aesthetics are very fucking interesting, nostalgic in a bad way, you know. So that aesthetic is already bad, but I think it's very, I was like, you know, it's very interesting that the leadership position on this team of men that are mostly black men almost always seems to be a white man. That's fucking, but like, haha, not haha funny, like haha weird. And so I did some, and so I'm like, I did some fucking research into it, some quick research. And please, people that know more than me about this, please talk about it in the comments. Because this is honestly, it's embarrassing, this situation, because basically going all the way back to like kind of Jackie Robinson days and like very early integration, like basically it was the same reason that they kept a lot of black people and black men from doing certain jobs, like the Tuskegee Airmen. That was a big fucking deal because fuck-ass doctors had been saying that, like, Negroes can't see well in the dark. They can't be pilots. My grandfather wanted to be a pilot. He was almost one of those Tuskegee motherfuckers, but they required the parents of grown-ass men to sign a permission slip for them to go and, like, trained to be pilots, and my grandfather's mother did not sign the permission slip. But it goes back to those days, around that time, and basically there's the same sentiment that like black people lack leadership and decision-making abilities, and so being a quarterback, not the best place to put a black person. And so basically that mindset seems to have continued through the decades, even though it's a sport that is literally mostly fucking black men, right? And I looked up some information basically about, you know, when these guys get drafted out of college into the NFL, and how race still plays a factor in that, because like there's a whole, I believe there's like a whole bunch of black quarterbacks in college ball, and some of them go to the NFL. They will literally have to change their fucking position to get drafted. You could be a quarterback your entire high school, college career, And in order to have a fighting chance of being on a fucking team, you're a running back now, or a tight end, or whatever. You know, like, what is aesthetically, basically, the heavy hitting grunt work. Like, it's always been that joke that the quarterback is like the pretty boy of the team, right? No, it's like, no, you're not allowed to be that. They will literally change their fucking position in order to get drafted. And it's a big deal, and it's still a point of contention because a lot of players are apparently very bothered by the fact that there are more black quarterbacks now, because there's like forcibly more diversity in that position. And a lot of white players are very uncomfortable and upset. And of course, racist fans, very upset at these black quarterbacks getting as much promotion, like camera time, like, you know, just glorification and being put on a pedestal the same way that white quarterbacks have. Mostly white quarterbacks have. Traditionally, historically, or whatever.
Here's what I found.
I didn't ask you, Siri. Go away. In a sport that is literally mostly black men, the game is still fucking rigged so badly. The game is rigged so badly to keep a black man out of a position that might glorify him as a leader or the face of a team. In a sport that is literally mostly black men, because that's how deep the racism goes. This shouldn't really be like surprising, because like racism isn't surprising. Racism in the NFL isn't fucking surprising. But this is something that I wanted to delve into today, it being Super Bowl weekend, because just as me who like isn't even like super into the sport, I was like, that's fucking weird that in a sport that's mostly black men, this is the first time in 2023 in the history of Super Bowls that both teams have a starting black quarterback. And people are talking about how historic this is. That's fucking embarrassing and gross. I don't know if this is something that has been talked about a lot or highlighted like outside of the sports community, but I would like to like bring it to the forefront right now of at least my platform, because I have one, and it being Super Bowl weekend, that is so fucking dumb and gross. It's just like me as a fucking entertainer and an actor, and like because sports to some degree, like, that's performance as well, right? And I can relate, because I can definitely count several times where I'm like, I feel like I've been knocked down a peg from being able to play the lead role and like basically playing a side character. That's the thing. Like, even like in media, like, you can't be the lead, but you can be the sassy best friend. You know? You can't be the headliner, but you can be the supportive, like, very wise black friend that enables the self-actualization of the lead white character. Like, yeah, that's what you can be. Like, it's the same fucking thing. But the thing is, like, I feel like there's even more diversity in, like, the audition pool of like acting and stuff. Like, there's a bunch of people of color and black actors like trying to get that fucking role, competing with, you know, other, you know, just it's just more diverse. I feel like there's more white people competing with more people of color than it is in like the NFL. It's mostly black men. But the outcome still fucking remains the same, because the game as a whole, like, not just football, not just entertainment, but the game is rigged so bad that no matter what the numbers are, no matter how many of us are fucking trying to get to a place of like leadership or to get to the front, the game is so fucking rigged that against all odds, they will do their fucking best to keep us from that. They will do their goddamn fucking best. Even when in the pool of selection, people of color outnumber the white people. That's fucking crazy. Yes, please celebrate the fact that this is the first time that 2 black quarterbacks have ever been in it, starting in the Super Bowl, but please, can we like also acknowledge how fucking embarrassing and gross that is, that this is the first time in 2023? And that the game is rigged so badly that it had to take this long for that to happen? That's gross. That's stupid. It shows how badly the racism goes, just in general. That's bad. It's really fucking bad. And I feel like every position has its like importance, right? Like no one person is like less or more valuable on a fucking team because you play a part that's like not in the spotlight or whatever. But the point is that they will go to whatever fucking lengths to keep a black man from being in the spotlight of leadership on a football team. They will go that fucking far. To the point that somebody has been a quarterback since high school, they'll be like, well, you can't be a quarterback anymore. You can't be a quarterback anymore because you just can't make as much money as the white men who have had this position. Like, you can't make racist white fans uncomfortable. Like, just like a black actor will be passed over for a role to not make white audiences uncomfortable. Like, fuck,